You've probably met someone like this before. A guy walks into a room, not flashy, not loud, but everyone turns. He doesn't need to prove anything. People just seem to sense something about him. He looks around calm, composed, as if the air itself is adjusting to make room for him. He could be a nobody on paper, but in that moment, you wouldn't know it. His presence says otherwise, and you sit there watching, wondering, how does he do that? Why do people treat him like he's important even when he's done nothing yet? Here's the uncomfortable truth. He's not necessarily better than you. He might not be smarter, more skilled, or more deserving, but he does one thing you don't. He acts like no one is better than him, and the world believes it. You've been taught to wait your turn, to be humble, to let your work speak for itself. But in reality, the world doesn't wait to hear your story. It reads your posture, it listens to your tone. It watches how you walk, how you speak, how you sit, how you look someone in the eye or avoid it. Your presence speaks before your voice does. And if your presence says, "I'm unsure," then people will treat you like you don't belong, no matter how brilliant you are inside. That's why the phrase, "act as if you are the best," is not just motivational fluff. It's a survival strategy. You don't become powerful and then start acting like you deserve respect. You act like you already deserve it, and that's what opens the doors. This might sound like theater, and in a way it is. But theater is not fake. Theater is performance with intent. When an actor steps on stage, they're not lying. They're showing up fully, taking the role seriously, and inviting others into belief. That's what you must do. Because in the theater of life, those who hesitate to perform are given background roles, no matter how brilliant they are behind the scenes. You might think the world rewards skill. It doesn't. It rewards certainty. The man who walks with conviction gets listened to even when he's wrong. The man who hesitates even when he's right is often ignored. People follow energy. They follow clarity. They follow the one who seems like he knows. Confidence is not a prize you earn after you've won. It's the armor you wear before the fight begins. It's not the result of success, it's the condition for it. Think of the times you let opportunities pass because you didn't feel ready. Think of the conversations where you wanted to speak but doubted your right to say anything. Think of the times you worked harder than anyone else, but were still passed over because someone else claimed the position with confidence while you waited for permission. This world doesn't hand out permission slips. It hands out rewards to those who act like they already belong at the table. That's why some of the most successful people aren't the most talented. They're the most convincing. They walk like the ground owes them something. They speak like their words are law. They move like the crown is already on their head, even when it's still invisible. And eventually the world starts to see the crown too. It's not magic, it's repetition. It's the discipline of showing up every day as the man you want to become until you've repeated the image so many times that people stop questioning it. They just believe it. You might say, "But I'm not that confident yet." That's fine. You don't need to be. You just need to act like you are, not to deceive others, but to retrain yourself. You're not pretending, you're becoming. You're shaping your presence like a sculptor shapes stone. You carve, you polish, you adjust, and slowly the image becomes real. Every movement matters. How you enter a room, how you shake hands, how you listen, how you speak. It's all part of the signal you send. And that signal is not passive, it's active. It either pulls people in or pushes them away. It either says, "I am someone," or "You can ignore me." People don't dig deep. They respond to what's on the surface. Not because they're cruel, but because that's how we're wired. We don't have time to evaluate everyone's soul, so we go off cues. Body language, voice, eye contact, pace, posture, confidence. This is not about arrogance, it's about assumption. If you assume you are powerful, you will begin to walk like it, speak like it, look like it, and the world will slowly reflect that back to you. If you assume you are invisible, that you need to prove yourself first, that others are better than you, then you'll move accordingly. You'll shrink. You'll wait. You'll apologize for taking up space. And again, the world will reflect that back to you. You are not just living in the world, you are projecting into it. And the world is responding to what you project. Not to your potential, not to your truth, but to your signal. So act like you're the best, not to put others down, but to show yourself in the world that you finally understand what no one ever taught you. Power is not granted. It is assumed. And the one who dares to assume it wins. Have you ever wondered why some people, even when they have nothing truly remarkable to offer, still get all the attention? They walk into a meeting, offer a few vague ideas, and yet somehow everyone nods, listens, agrees. Meanwhile, someone else, who perhaps has spent hours thinking through the problem, refining solutions, preparing carefully, finds their words land softly and die in the air. It's not your intelligence that's lacking. It's not your preparation. It's the signal you send the moment you open your mouth, or even before. The world doesn't follow competence. It follows certainty. People crave something firm to believe in. And when you walk and speak like you're absolutely sure of yourself, you become that anchor others are looking for, even if your ideas aren't perfect. Confidence, then, is not a reward. It's a requirement. If you want to lead, you cannot wait until you feel completely ready. You will never feel completely ready. No one does. That's the secret. The difference is, those who rise choose to act like they're ready, even when they're terrified inside. That's the lie that becomes the truth. Because every time you carry yourself like you're in control, people begin to believe it. They adjust themselves to your rhythm. They respond to the image you project, not the facts you carry. This is why you've seen average men lead exceptional teams. Why loud, overconfident voices take up all the space while the quiet genius remains a footnote. Because the world reflects what you are, what you broadcast, not what you contain. You can be brilliant, insightful, and strong, but if your behavior whispers hesitation, people won't dig deeper to find out what you're really made of. They'll take the hint and move on. That's why you must own the room before the room offers you permission. Walk in like you belong. Speak like you've already earned your place. Carry yourself like you've got nothing to prove, because the moment you try to prove something, you signal that you might not be as powerful as you claim. Even hesitation becomes a message, a delay in response, a nervous laugh, a hunched posture. These are tiny leaks of energy that signal to the room, I'm not sure of myself. And people feel that instantly. And because people are deeply wired to follow strength, or what looks like strength, they begin to reposition you. They put you one rank lower. They take your suggestions with a grain of salt. They test your boundaries more freely. They question your opinions more often. Not because they want to hurt you, but because that's how the human brain operates. We trust what we can feel. We follow what we can sense. And confidence, true or performed, is one of the most powerful emotional signals in existence. It creates gravity. It draws people in. This is why you should never wait to be celebrated before you carry yourself like a winner. Never wait to be validated before you stand tall. Never wait for your turn to speak up. Take it. Every hesitation is an invitation for someone else to steal your moment. This isn't about being loud. It's about being sure. Even your silence can command power if you choose it deliberately. When you sit in a room and say little but hold eye contact, sit upright and exude certainty, people begin to wonder what you're thinking. They lean in. They pay attention because silence, when paired with confidence, becomes mystery. And mystery is magnetic, but silence without presence, that's just invisibility. You must learn the difference. When you walk into a space, your first task is not to explain yourself. It's to occupy it fully with your spine, your steps, your breath, your gaze, with your energy. Before you say a word, your presence has already started the conversation. And when you finally speak, Let your voice carry the weight of your belief. Not just belief in your idea, but belief in yourself. Speak like your words matter, like they carry consequences. Like people would be foolish not to listen, because the truth is, if you speak without belief, your audience won't believe either. And if you don't look convinced of your own power, no one else will be. People want to follow someone who seems to know where they're going. They want to stand behind someone who already seems chosen. They want to hand the crown to someone who already acts like they're wearing it. So act. Not because you're arrogant, not because you're faking anything, but because you understand this game and you're done sitting on the sidelines. You don't owe the world your humility. You owe it your presence. And if you don't claim your space, someone else will. And chances are they'll be far less deserving than you. You might still wonder, what if I'm just pretending? What if I act confident and someone sees through me? But here's the real twist. Everyone's pretending. Even the most powerful people you admire, at some point, they were just like you. Unsure, nervous, making it up as they went. The difference is, they didn't let that uncertainty show. They acted with conviction before they ever had proof. They understood something most people never do. Your belief shapes reality, not the other way around. Think of confidence as a kind of self-hypnosis. At first, it feels awkward. You stand taller, even though your legs feel shaky. You speak up, even though your voice wants to tremble. You look someone in the eye, even though your instinct is to look away. But the more you repeat it, the more your body learns, the more your voice adapts, the more your energy catches up with your act. That's not deception. That's transformation. You are not lying to the world. You're teaching it how to treat you. And you're teaching yourself who you're becoming, because every time you carry yourself like a man of value, you start to believe it. And once you believe it, others follow. This is how reputations are built. Not on truth, but on consistency. The world doesn't reward the most talented. It rewards the most consistent signal. If you project the same image day after day, people eventually accept it. They stop questioning. They repeat it. And soon your myth becomes your identity. You've seen this in action. A man walks into a room with quiet certainty. He doesn't need to brag. He doesn't even need to talk much. But people make way for him. They defer to him. Why? Because he assumes power. And assumption is contagious. It spreads like a scent. People feel it before they understand it. On the other hand, think about the man who walks in unsure of his place. He smiles too often. His body shrinks into itself. He tries to be agreeable, to cause no discomfort, to take up as little space as possible. And what does the room do in response? It forgets him. It overlooks him. Not because he's not worthy, but because he told the room without saying a word, "You don't have to respect me." This is the quiet disease of self-erasure, and it is a choice. You can choose to shrink, to defer, to wait until someone tells you you're enough, or you can choose to stand as if you already are. You don't need permission to start acting powerful. You act powerful, and the permission follows. The world will treat you exactly the way you treat yourself. So when you walk into a room, stop playing small. Don't look around waiting for someone to recognize your greatness. Walk like it's already understood. Speak like your words matter. Move like the room belongs to you, not because you want to dominate others, but because you finally refuse to disappear. People respect certainty, not perfection, not humility, not even skill. Certainty. You can be wrong and still lead. You can lack experience and still be trusted. As long as you carry yourself like someone who believes fully in who they are becoming. That's why confidence is not volume. It's not shouting or taking up space aggressively. It's presence. It's the quiet strength in your posture, the calm in your voice, the stillness in your eyes. It's moving slowly, deliberately, because you don't need to rush for approval. It's holding silence like a weapon. It's not needing to convince because you've already decided who you are. Others catch on fast. People want someone to follow, someone to trust, someone who carries belief like a flame and lights the way for others. And when they sense that energy in you, they start to organize around it. Not because you forced them to, but because they were waiting for someone like you to appear. So don't wait. Don't keep asking yourself if you're ready. Readiness is a myth. No one feels ready. The strongest people you know were just bold enough to act before they were certain. They jumped and learned to land on the way down. That's your job now. Not to perfect your image, but to choose it. Not to wait for proof, but to assume your role. Not to apologize for who you are, but to broadcast it with quiet force. Because if you don't, someone else will define you for you. And they'll write a version of your story that fits their narrative, not yours. That's the risk of silence. That's the cost of hesitation. You can either teach the world who you are, or you can let it label you based on how uncertain you seem. You've probably heard the saying, fake it till you make it. No, but that's not quite right. You're not faking anything. You're becoming. You're practicing power the way a musician practices their instrument. Not pretending to know, but committing to learn by doing over and over again until the movements, the voice, the posture, the energy, they're not an act anymore, they're you. And when you get to that point, when you've worn the crown so long it no longer feels heavy, people stop questioning. They stop testing. They start assuming what you assumed long ago. You're the one who leads, the one who matters, the one who belongs at the top. The irony is cruel, but true. Power doesn't go to the best. It goes to the one who believes he is the one, who acts like the best, the one who radiates without apology that no one is better than him, not because he hates others, but because he finally stopped doubting himself. You are not in a contest for who is nicest or smartest or most hardworking. You're in a game of perception, and perception bends reality. If you carry yourself as invisible, you will be. If you speak like you're unsure, you will be challenged and ignored. But if you speak with calm conviction, move like your steps have purpose, and stare into the world like nothing can shake you, people will feel it and they will respond. You don't need to scream to be powerful. You don't need to dominate to lead. You don't even need to have it all figured out. What you do need is to drop the habit of asking permission to exist. Stop waiting for someone to recognize your potential. Stop hoping someone will call on you. Stop shrinking your presence to fit someone else's comfort. If they're uncomfortable with your greatness, let them squirm. That's not your problem anymore. Power is not a reward handed out by fair judges. It's a mirror. It reflects whatever you send it. If you send fear, it gives you rejection. If you send confidence, it offers opportunity. You're not just walking through life, you are declaring yourself with every step. And every time you walk into a room, every time you speak, every time you choose to be silent or to act, you're sending a message. This is who I am. This is how I expect to be treated. So let me ask you, what have you been broadcasting? Have you been acting like a man who is still waiting to become good enough, or a man who already knows he is? Have you been walking like someone unsure of his worth, or someone who carries himself like the world owes him attention? Because that answer, more than your talent, your resume, or your intentions, is what determines how the world will treat you. If you assume you are a background character, the world will never cast you as the lead. If you act like your voice doesn't matter, people will stop listening. But if you assume you are necessary, if you move like you are valuable, then others will adapt to that energy. They will believe what you believe. Because confidence, when repeated with discipline, becomes truth. You may not control every situation. You may not always get the outcome you want, but you do control how you show up. And when you show up with certainty, people feel it. When you walk into a room and your presence speaks before you do, something shifts. That shift is what separates the forgotten from the unforgettable, the sheep from the wolf, the one who waits from the one who decides. So here is the truth that ends all debate. You do not become powerful by accident. You become powerful by assuming power again and again and again until it becomes impossible to see you as anything else. The man who walks with the belief that he is the best isn't waiting for permission. He isn't waiting for validation. He isn't waiting for the right time. He moves as if the game is already his. And the world kneels, not because he asked it to, but because he taught it to. So now it's your turn. No more shrinking, no more explaining, no more hoping. From this moment forward, walk as if no one is better than you. Not because you have something to prove, but because no one will believe it until you do. Power is not granted, it is assumed, and the one who dares to assume it first rules. Now tell me, who are you going to be the moment this ends? The man who waits, hesitates, apologizes. If you found this advice valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insights on mastering your presence and achieving your goals.